If you've ever had to deal with the court system, you know it can be confusing. In this week's Know the Law segment, Tom Sinas is here to talk about different courts from district to appeals, even the Supreme Court.
It is very confusing because you'll hear courts talked about in the news, and sometimes you hear so many different names for our courts that you just cannot remember which is which. So let's start at the entry level, and this is what we call our trial courts.
Okay.
These are where disputes start. And in our state, we have a few basic trial courts. We have first what is called a district court. A district court generally hears both civil and criminal cases. On criminal cases, it typically hears misdemeanors. On civil cases, district courts hear cases where there is $25,000 or less in dispute. I should mention that there is one court below the district court that some people know of called small claims court.
Right.
The other trial court that we have is called the circuit court. The circuit court is typically in criminal cases where felonies are tried, and in civil cases where there's a dispute more than $25,000, those cases are tried in circuit court.
Big money cases.
Yeah. What about probate issues? Well, we have a separate probate court system, which is like a trial court, but it pertains only to probate issues. So those are your basic three courts, and this is where disputes start. People hire a lawyer, and if necessary, they'll take their case to a trial. Could be a jury trial, could be a judge trial like we talked about before. And then what happens? Well, there's a decision at that trial court level. If someone wants to appeal that decision, then you go to the next level of courts in our state, and we call those the appellate courts. We have two levels of appellate courts. The first is what is called the Michigan Court of Appeals. And this is the court that everyone has a right to appeal to from a trial court's decision. And the Court of Appeals hold proceedings around the state, and they hear everything from civil and criminal cases. And they will decide whether there were any legal things that went wrong at the trial.
Procedural problems with what happened.
That's right. That's right. They will not revisit the facts that were found at the trial court. They'll review the law. We also have a Michigan Supreme Court. Michigan Supreme Court hears cases that people want to take beyond the Court of Appeals and have it decided by the highest court in our state, and that's the Michigan Supreme Court. And the Michigan Supreme Court has complete discretion as to what cases it takes and when it takes those cases. So if your case gets all the way to the Michigan Supreme Court, that's a long way to go. There's also a separate federal court system, but I think maybe we'll talk about that another week.
Okay. Tom, if somebody has a question about the law, they can give your office a call.
Absolutely. 616-301-3333. They can find us online at www.sinasdramis.com or shoot us an email at info@sinasdramis.com.
Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.